What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Get the Bag podcast, episode 14.
Yeah,
Wow, we getting up there.
I know.
I'm your host, Gladia Castro. Got my co-host Tim Park.
Hey, what's
We
up,
have a really
guys?
great episode for you today. But just a quick reminder, this is a live show, so make sure you post your questions throughout the conversation, and we'll make sure to answer any of them. And don't forget to show some love. Subscribe to our
Yeah,
channel, hit the
absolutely.
reminders. I believe we have in the information below, like how to reach us. But today's episode, how to choose the right business partner. I think this is something that's talked about a lot.
hmm
We have some good stories, we have some bad stories, but we have really two very special guests today. For some time, both of them were running their own separate wholesaling businesses. And Struck by Fate, they met on Instagram, I believe, but I'm sure
hmm
they'll share it with us. And the rest is history. After JVing a few deals, they learned like, hey, like we should partner up. Officially teamed up and building a six-figure company. That's just
That's
amazing.
amazing. That's awesome. I love it.
We'll talk about their experience and what led them to partner up. But let's welcome Ty Franklin and Michael Acevedo to the Get the Bag podcast. What is
What's
up,
up?
fellas?
What's up,
What's
fellas?
going on?
What's going on, man? How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Doing great. Working.
Yeah, Ty out in the field, man.
On the
Yeah.
field. I love it.
today, so that's always good.
Hey,
Right.
congratulations.
Yeah, I heard you guys dealing with some title stuff, but got a closing today. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah. That's the word of advice, guys. Don't work with your title company only.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Stay
Right.
true
Quick-
to them.
quick
Other title
tip right off
companies
the
will drop
bat.
the ball.
I know. There's some
Hey,
growing
but whatever
pains
you gotta
there.
do to close the deal, right? Sometimes you'll do whatever. So we've all been there.
Yeah.
But really
Yes,
appreciate you
sir.
guys like hopping on.
hmm
You have busy schedules. Mike, congrats on the new baby.
Thank you.
That's amazing. But I see you guys putting in work. It's crazy to see. It's like Ty. I've started following you probably when I got started, and to kind of see where you guys are at now is just amazing. But kind of share a little bit with us, like where you both come from, and
hmm
kind of what led to you guys teaming up.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Mike, you want to go first, I
All right,
guess.
go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. So pretty much, I'm originally from Rhode Island. And then I moved to Virginia because I was in the military, the Navy. So that's what brought me to
Mhm.
Virginia. And it was coming close to the end of my contract with the Navy. So pretty much I ended up contacting Ty because me and my wife and I kind of had an idea that we were moving to Georgia. That's where we wanted to kind of stay at. So I seen Ty's profile. I seen that he was he was very active. He was very transparent. Deals that he had gotten locked up, he would say if they didn't end up closing, he'd be like, canceled. He didn't just fake it, like he closed it. And
Yeah.
I appreciated that. I was like very transparent. I was like, it looked like he was in the same path as I was. Like he was in that same area where we're still trying to get our first deal. We have more knowledge than most of your, beginners, but we're still trying to get our first deal. So I contacted him. He even has the text message still on Instagram. But I left him with like a paragraph long message. I was like, hey man, I love what you're doing. I love your transparency. I want to, my wife and I are moving to Georgia, and I'm changing my business, my market from Virginia to Georgia, obviously, since I'm gonna be out there. I was like, I would love to JV on some deals and link up with you. And from there, he was like, yeah, for sure. Like he didn't think nothing of it. He probably got these messages on a daily, you know what I'm saying? Because he was very active on Instagram. So he probably got messages on the daily of people trying to, JV or meet up with him. But long and behold, I came to Georgia and we ended up meeting up. And from there, kind of the rest was history. I think what really we noticed how we worked well together was one. So I'll bring it back a little bit. I had a partner before him.
Mm.
And
you had an ex. Okay.
Yeah. So nothing against him. I'm saying no shade against him. He's like my brother. He's my best friend. I grew up with him in Rhode Island. It's just I made a mistake. You know, he wasn't that knowledgeable in the wholesaling game yet. And I was like on level 10 and he was on level 1. And just to kind of keep up with trying to bring him up to level 10 and all that, it was just very, very complicated and stressful. And I needed somebody more on my level of knowledge where you know, where it wasn't really holding me back and we can excel. So like I said, nothing against him. Just make sure when you guys do pick a partner, if you are looking for one, don't just rush it. You know, I like the way that me and Ty kind of became partners because what we said is, hey, let's break bread together first. Let's get some deals done. And, you know, after a couple deals, we'll talk about partnerships. And that's what we did. You know, we kind of got some deals done. So essentially the way it started was, you want to tell them, Ty, how it started, how I kind of just said, I'll tap into your database.
Yeah, so Mike pretty much hit the nail on the head there. When it came to us actually working, so I was still working my full-time job at the time, and I was doing, you know, I was doing it part-time as far as wholesaling. I was doing my cold calls. I would cold call when I got off work, probably around like 6 o'clock to about 7:30, Monday through Friday. And then on Saturdays when I was off, I would cold call between like 10 a.m. to like 2 or 3 p.m. on Saturdays to kind of generate some leads. So during that time, I had generated a lead database of about 100 and some odd leads. So me and Mike started talking. I said, look, Mike, since you have the time and you have some experience with acquisitions, I'll give you access to my database, and anything that, you know, you close or get under contract, we'll just split 50-50. Now, what built that trust was Mike, you know, he was very open, very transparent, and sharing a lot of information that he's learned with me and teaching me some things that I didn't even know about. So I was like, okay, if he's trusting me with this information, then I can trust him with my information, you know. And then a lot of it is just like on faith, right? So it was a good vibe. I felt good about it. I didn't have any kind of negative thought behind, oh, this guy might steal my leads or whatever. I didn't go off of that. It just felt good. So I said, let's go for it. And lo and behold, this was probably a month before we actually closed the deal. So like literally he got one under contract in like a month, in like a week or so. And we closed that deal in like a month. So, and from there, that deal was probably like a $7,500 spread. And we split that down the middle 50-50. And then from there, we had a conversation. I was like, look, let's close some more deals. Let's see if we can do this consistently. If we can do this consistently, then let's have a conversation about partnership. And then the rest is history.
That's awesome. I love it.
That's great.
And that's the way to go, I think. I mean, you guys did it right. Just, you know, breaking bread together first, you know, see if you guys can get a good, you know, good deal or a couple of deals under your belt and see how you guys work together. And, you know, I really think that's the way to go for people that are listening out there, for sure.
Yeah, and I think Tim, you probably gone through you have some stories, some partnerships that, you know,
Yeah, I
went
have some
south.
exes.
Yeah, doesn't mean, I mean, we'll probably talk about it, but like partnerships is dating, right? You gotta, you know, feel each other out, go on a few dates, see how you work well together, and then it's like, all right, you want to move in, and then like, you know, it's just like it's kind of very similar where, you know, you both have to come to agreements and come together. But like, how did you? So you guys closed some deals. You guys felt good. Like how'd you guys structure that partnership? Like what take us through what that looked like?
Yeah.
So when we first started, you know, like I was still with my ex-partner. And we
So
actually,
you was cheating too.
the way we structured it, like we didn't structure it at first like we were partners. First we were just JV workers.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, my company was working with his company, and we were splitting 50-50. So we got a JV contract in place where it was just, hey, you know, stating the jobs pretty much. Our job, as you know, the company I used to have was doing the acquisitions, just finding the deals, locking them up, and whatever we lock up, we were splitting 50-50 if we, you know, get a buyer. So it was just a regular JV contract, just stating, you know, each person's job and then how much the profits are split by. So for the first two deals, I will say we split it but then I had to split it with my partner too.
Yeah.
And that would make less. And it was
Mhm.
like, you know, it started becoming more of a, I don't know how do you call it. Like I said, no shade against them. It started becoming more of a just, it was holding me back, you know. You know, I was having to split up profits with him, and no, I like money's nothing to me. I gave him the money with no problem.
Right.
But it was like, you didn't lock it up, you didn't find a buyer, you didn't do the marketing, there was nothing in there that you did. So you know what I mean? I still broke bread with him, obviously, but after like the second deal, that's when I started realizing like, hey, it's time for me to break off from this, and you know, and just kind of join full in with Ty. That way, you know, I don't have to split profits with somebody, you know, who's necessarily not doing anything really. But so that's kind of how it started. So I was still under the partnership with that guy, and we got first 2 deals done with Ty and I. Like he said, one of them, the first one was like 7,500, and then the second one was like 17,000. And from there, that's when I started realizing like, okay, things are picking up. You know, we need to like finalize these terms. Like, are we going to be partners? And I think that's what I ended up, because I wanted to still give my buddy a chance, but you know, it was a drag. I was just very stressed out, you know, trying to do almost a lot of the stuff on my own. But besides that, that's when I kind of had to talk with Ty. I was like, yo, you know, what's up, man? What are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Are we going to be partners? Are we going to, what are we going to do? And he was, you know, after making $24,000 together or something, he was like, yeah, you know, let's get this set into motion. And to be honest, this is where a lot of trust comes in too, because we honestly didn't even add me to the LLC till like probably November-ish, you know, after we already had closed over $100,000 to $200,000. So there's a lot of trust between me and Ty, and that's one thing that we had together was trust. We knew that, you know, I knew that Ty was going to, you know, he's not going to run away with the money that we're closing deals. And he had trust in me to not like, you know, steal leads or stuff like that and go behind his back or something and close deals. So we had a lot of trust with each other. The only reason we even added me, well, obviously we needed to add me, but was because our accountant told us like, hey, if you don't add him, Ty's going to pay all the taxes. Then we were like,
Guys
okay,
said, no, all right, let's do it right now.
Yeah. Yep. So we needed to go ahead and add me to the LLC. So we just did it in November. So there was a lot of trust there. Like Ty said, like at the time I was working for an acquisitions firm before that as well. I was working for an acquisitions company. They were actually doing successful. They made like over 2 million last year. So I was working for them, and but I told them right off the rip, right up front, you know, hey, I'm coming here, but these are my goals. My goal is to learn as much as I can, soak in everything, but eventually build my own wholesaling company. And I told them that right off the rip. So they knew that I was there to learn what I can, learn the systems, learn the processes. Like I wasn't looking to take your leads or take your buyers. I was just learning to learn the process, the systems. And I didn't take leads or anything or buyers. You know, we found our own buyers, our own ways. But aside from that, everything I was learning and soaking in from them, this is how they're closing deals. This is how we're actually getting people to sign the contract on the phone same day. This is the process. This is the title process. This is the offer process. I would just literally get on the phone right after I get out of work with Ty, and we'd be on the phone for like an hour, 2 hours every single day. And we just be like telling each other more knowledge, more stuff about what we're learning. And essentially that's kind of how Ty opened up and was comfortable to give me his database. And because he, like he said, he had a full-time job. He didn't have too much time to follow up with these leads. So I was and at the other company, I was closing I was getting like 5 contracts in a given week. And I was like, hey man, I'm on fire. Let me tap into your database. I'm sure there's some leads in there that we can get some things done. So that's what we did. And I would say when it comes to partnerships, trust is a big thing. And then ego, you don't want to have an ego. You know, you don't want like, oh, I'm always the right person. We take into consideration, you know, each of our opinions, you know, his opinion, my opinion. We see how we can mash it together, make opinion in the middle, like make something work. Or sometimes I may even say like, you know what, that's right. You're true. You know, like let's rock with that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a big thing on partnership. We're not we're not, there's no like alpha male, like, you know, we're both alpha, like kind of just, you know, working on the company together because we know we're on the same team. We know that we're here to just benefit each other, you know, benefit the company. So I think that's a big play too, is just ego. You don't want to have, you don't want to, if you're getting into a partnership, you don't want to be with someone who's, I guess you would say very controlling off the, you know, at the start, because then that tells you that you're not really going to have a say or input in the
Right.
company when it's your company. Thing to look out for in the beginning is like, you know, like things this way. No, we're going to do things this way. Like, no, we're doing things that way. And that's just not a good partnership. And to be honest, that's how it was with me and my other partner. He wasn't the controlling one. I was somewhat the controlling one, but that was because he didn't know nothing. You know what I mean? So right off there, you can tell it wasn't a good partnership. I was already controlling him and what to do with our company. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be like that. We should both be bringing ideas to the table and see what works best. So yeah, definitely. I would say there's a lot of people who hit me and tie up like, hey man, how'd you find a partnership? How'd you find a partner? I'm looking for a partner. I would say, well, me and Ty always say, don't go looking for a partner. Like we didn't say like we didn't look for each other. You know, partners weren't even in our mind. Like the only reason I partnered up with my other buddy was because he was bringing money to the table, and I had a decent amount of funds, but I had a family as well that I had to pay a lot of stuff for. So that's the only reason I partnered up with him, because he had something I didn't have, which was money to the table. But even if someone brings money to the table, that shouldn't be the reason why you partner up with them. So definitely, you know, just take into consideration, like I said, the trust, and just the fact that they can feed you information before you're even partners.
Yeah. And I think, it's definitely a thing where it's the trust and then communication. I think you guys have really good communication back and forth. Like you're saying, you're talking for hours after the day or whatever, recapping or just learning from each other. I think that's really important. Kind of going back to the actual partnership structure, like when you guys so you didn't create a separate LLC for this new venture for you guys. You just added to Ty's LLC. Is that correct?
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, Ty had his LLC. I mean, I don't know if you want to explain that to them, Ty. But he pretty much had his LLC already set, and I was down with it. I was down with the brand.
Dope.
You want to down with Ty?
Yeah, that was it. I mean, I had this LLC created, like, you know, when I got my first deal, that's when I established my LLC. I kind of had the ideas already in the pipeline. Just I was using that as my motivation to, you know, to close the deal. And once I closed the deal, I kind of got, you know, the LLC and the business formation kind of structured. And then that was in April. And then, you know, like Mike said, he liked the brand. I already had the structure for the most part. And it was a no-brainer. Just had to, you know, set up an operation agreement and state in, you know, what percentages that we own and all this and that. And it's 50-50 down the middle, you know?
Yeah. And for people that are listening right now, an operating agreement is the actual contract between the partners, right, within the company. So that will decide, basically tell exactly how much percentage each owner owns, and then also the roles of the partnership as well too. So just give you some background.
Love it. And I like how you mentioned setting ego aside and not going for money. That's something that, you know, we talk about even in, you know, we're in a group with Chris Jefferson. And one thing he always says is, if money is your motivation, get out of it. That you're coming in with the wrong mindset. And I think especially in the beginning stages of like your wholesaling ventures, people come in with the thought of money. So if you go in the deal with like, oh, I'm gonna get this money, it's more than likely it's either you're coming in with the wrong thought process, and you're not going to last very long, because if things are it can be inconsistent until you find like a consistent streamline. So I like that you mentioned like don't go just for the money. There's more than that, right? There's communication, like you mentioned. There's trust. There's like that bond, and like, all right, we're in this together. And I can tell like you both feel like you guys were growing at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, right? At the same level. You guys saw eye to eye, which you didn't with your old partner. But tell me, with your ex, did you dissolve that LLC or that partnership? Did you guys have like
So
yeah.
he actually, so it's just such a long story. So I wasn't even added to that LLC either. And the only reason I wasn't was because I was working with a company and I signed a non-compete for him. So I didn't want to, I was like making it seem like, hey, he owns this LLC. He does all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like I was taking leads from the other company. We generated our own leads. I just didn't want any legal troubles if anything did pop up. So I kind of let him take over the LLC. But once we did try adding my name one time, but they sent us the paper back and said, hey, you need to fix this. And we never, when I finally told him, like, hey, we're just not good for each other, he still wanted to pursue wholesaling. And I was glad, I still help him to this day. He tries to, he got a couple of deals locked up. He's improving, getting better and better. But he ended up still sticking with the company. So he didn't dissolve it yet. And he's still doing his thing. And, he's got me for a mentor. So, that's, even better. He can always ask me for advice anytime he, me. But so I was never even on that LLC. So I didn't have to dissolve it. I didn't have to tell him to dissolve it. It was his choice of what he wanted to do. And I honestly, at that point too, that's the kind of the reason, one of the two reasons that I kind of just went with Ty's company is, one, he put a lot more thought into the company's name and the company's logos and etc. Me, it was just like, I know the systems, I know the processes, the logo, and I need some credibility, and I need to get some calls going out and lock some stuff up. So I didn't put thought and time into my brand. I just knew what I needed to get done, and I needed that logo and a company website, et cetera, et cetera. I just know what I needed to get deals. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I didn't really put that much thought. So that was one of the reasons why I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll go with Property Jet. Let's stick with it. And then two, like I said, I was never involved in or in there, so I didn't have to dissolve any of it. So at that point, my friend, he didn't want to give the company up either. He thought I was going to take it, and he was like, no, I want it, I'm taking it, or whatever. And I'm like, cool, like you can keep it, that's fine, man. Even if I have to open up another one, it's cool, man. I just I try to tell him in the most, because I know how that felt, it's like breaking up with somebody.
Yeah,
it really is.
100%.
I know how that felt. It probably hurt him, and he told me, but it's like he messaged me the other day too, like probably like a month ago, and he was like, hey man, like I just want to let you know I'm proud of you, and I understand why things happened, and you're going far, so he understands, and besides that, like that he wanted to stay with the company, so no matter what, I couldn't even tell Ty, hey, let's come to this company. So I was just like, I'm going to Ty's company, and we're gonna brand up from there. And not only that, but on the closing we did, we already had those clients given us, granted we closed those clients under my old company's name. We already had them giving us reviews for Property Jet. So at that point it was like, all right, let's stick with Property Jet, because there's no point in making a completely new name. We already got a video testimonial, we already got a Google review, for Property. From there, it was just like, we just built the brand up even more. And not only that, but then look at all this nice ass gear that
y'all got the swag. Y'all got the swag going.
That's what's up.
Yeah, that's Ty. Ty's the gear, man. He got the.
I know it.
I swear he tried. He must have tried fashion. I mean, his girl's into fashion, so that's where he gets it from.
I know. Well, they talk about like wear your brand wherever you're at, because it's always a way that people can stop you and be like, hey, what's this? What's this? What do you guys do? And it's always a conversation piece.
And not only that, but going on appointments. I've had
Oh
I've
yeah.
gone on appointments where I have this on, my hat on, and people are, you know, the guy's telling me like, oh, y'all legit. And I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I come in uniform. We even have the button up, the half button up thing with the collar, you know, like a regular work, you know, like I'm working.
Right.
You know what I mean? And companies just like any other company, of course. But sometimes that's what it takes to show that credibility, just show that, this you take this company seriously and you're not looking to just fuck this guy over. Excuse my language,
Right.
but
No,
yeah,
you're
you know
good.
what I'm saying? So I've had a lot of people like they compliment the gear. Even clients will like compliment it, like, oh, that's a nice windbreaker or something.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's all the brand, and I know that's one thing that I've seen just through looking through at Ty's Instagram. Like, you're building a brand in sense when you build a business from the ground up. And starting with the reviews, your gear, it's just consistency, right? In all way of forms. So would you consider is Ty kind of the visionary and you're the integrator? Like, how is your business kind of structured in terms of like responsibilities?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like hybrid, you know what I mean? Because it's like I come up. I would say Mike is more so of the system guy. You know, he's dealing with, systems, processes, things like that. When it comes, he gets ideas and things like that too. You know, a lot of times I guess I'm probably if you want to put it that way, if you want to categorize us, I think that's correct. I'm more so the visionary, he's more so the integrator, if you want to go that way. But I think it's more so of a hybrid because we do come together on certain things, whether it's the vision for the company, vision for the brand, how to make things better, as well as the back end stuff with the softwares, the data, the system, the processes. We both have input in that kind of thing. But he's more so like, when it comes to these systems and these softwares, he's deep into it. I'm like more so on the surface level of it. I can get down into it if I want to, if I need to, but for the most part, that's the type of shit that he loves to do. So I let him do his thing. That's his comfort zone. I let him rock on, and he teaches me stuff about that stuff as well. Like with our dialer, call tools, he dug all the way into it. I don't know too much about. I know about it, but I don't know as much about it as he does, and he kind of breaks it down and simplifies it for me to understand. And and that's pretty much it. We're both into the data, understanding the KPIs, the analytics, and things like that. So I would kind of say, if anything, I'm the visionary, he's the integrator, but more often than not, we're both hybrid and kind of do both.
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. I mean, I could agree too. Like it's like because it's like he said, it's like a hybrid because when it comes to like acquisitions, for example, he takes charge when it comes to acquisitions. Our new acquisitions associate we just hired, he's the one kind of doing most of the training, taking charge of it. And I would consider that almost in a, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then again, I'm kind of handling more of the systems, like he said, like call tools, setting up the CRMs. If we're switching to a new CRM, I'm exporting that, importing into the new CRM, and just setting up like the processes. But then, like he said, we come together on a lot of the ideas, and then we kind of take action from there in our own roles, you would say. But we kind of do almost a lot of the stuff like together. I would say like acquisitions and marketing, like Ty, like he's more he knows the ideas, like what list should we pull? Hey, let's pull in this city, let's pull in that city, let's pull this, let's pull that, and then we'll do the pulling together actually. And then skip tracing and marketing, I'm uploading it to the dialer. I'm getting the agents ready for all these, the calling, and then as far as keeping up KPIs, I'll for the most part we kind of do that together. But Ty's mainly in the chat a lot with the agents, talking to them like, hey, what's up? What are you facing? What problem are you facing? Or this or that. So it's kind of a mixture of both. We both kind of have our visions come together. We actually have a goal sheet that we kind of just sat down, created goals of what we wanted each quarter. And from there, we kind of go into like, how can we get these things done? But yeah, I mean, if you want to categorize it that way, I would definitely say, he's the visionary, I'm the integrator. It does make sense. I've heard that a lot
Right.
of times in different
Mhm.
podcasts. But it does make sense. I mean, he's definitely the visionary. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
I think too much. I'm very analytical. I'm like, what if
Right.
this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? He's like, when we cross that bridge, you know, we'll get there when we cross that.
Right.
So he kind of brings me down back to, you know, leveled and stop kind of, you know, worrying about stuff we don't need to be worrying about.
Right.
Brings you back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah. You know, it brings me back down to earth because me, I freaking stress so much stuff out till my head pops off, you know, but he's just like, and then next thing you know, it ends up going how he said, you know, like, let's not worry about it, chill.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
And that's a good partnership. I mean, you guys kind of even each other out, type of thing. You know, kind of going back to a little bit of your business. Where are you guys at right now in your business, and like how many associates you have, or are they VAs, or can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so our breakdown is pretty simple. Right now, we have the vision of having a small team that's effective. We
Mhm.
don't want to have 20, 30 virtual assistants. We don't want to have 15, acquisitions people, things like that. So right now, we're scaling slowly, brick by brick. I always say you can't throw a ton of bricks on a piece of land and expect to build a house. You got to do it one at a time.
Mm.
So right now, currently on our team, we have two marketing agents. They do our cold calling for us. And we just recently hired an acquisitions person. And then there's myself and Michael who does, acquisitions. Michael does acquisitions as well. But he primarily focuses on the dispositions and the transaction stuff. I'll dabble in that a little bit. But he's more hands-on when it comes to that stuff. As far as making sure deals get closed and communicating with title and things like that. So our team right now, we have 5 people on our team right now.
That's dope.
Love
That's
it.
dope.
Yeah. So we're slowly scaling. We're slowly expanding our team. And reason being is because, you know, there's times where we have like 7 deals on the board, and you know it gets, like he said, sometimes it's hard to keep track of acquisitions and make calls, and at the same time keep track of the title company and keep track of
Right.
inspections and keep track of everything that's going on the back end. So slowly we're scaling. We just brought an acquisitions person. It has lifted a lot of, you know, freedom of time off me that I can work on like the dispositions and on the company stuff, like
Right.
KPIs and because, you know, we'd be here till like 12 p.m. if we were to do ones like acquisitions, transactions, dispositions, KPIs, and keeping track of all that stuff. So it's definitely freed up a lot of time. We're definitely you know, looking to scale slowly, like he said, brick by brick. That's really the way to do it. And yeah, it's really, you know, that's how we did it with our virtual assistants. Because if you think about it, you know, when you first hired a virtual assistant, why did you hire them? It's because you started realizing that, you know, time to do that,
Right.
essentially, and your time's kind of better wasted in the acquisition side.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because one, now you're trying to market and you're trying to follow up. You don't have enough time. You need someone else to market, and then you do the follow-ups. So that's kind of
Right.
how we started realizing with acquisitions. We started getting to the point where, okay, you know, there's too many deals to keep up with and keep up with acquisitions. So let's and start bringing somebody more into the dispositions and transaction role, so we can keep up with all that stuff. So that's kind of how we figured how to scale. You know what I'm saying? We noticed
Right.
that we're getting enough leads, enough, you know, work being done that we can bring somebody in, and move somebody more to the transactions. I still make calls, acquisition calls, of course,
Mhm.
because I love acquisitions. But eventually, yeah, we're probably gonna end up shifting, you know, where Ty's like he's taking over, like he's the sales chart. He's in charge of sales. He's the talker. You know, he knows how to get these people down in negotiations. I know how to get contracts locked up too, but I'm very professional. He's more of he can talk to you like we've been friends for 10 years.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
got the rapport on lock.
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? So he,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
get you.
he's definitely, you know, when it comes to sales, that's his thing. And he even already has like visions of how he wants the, how he wants an office set up, like, oh, like, ping pong tables, all this stuff. He has visions, and you know what I'm saying. So he's the sales guy when it comes to all this stuff. Obviously, I make sales too, but eventually, yeah, like it's probably going to be shifting more towards, like, I'll be more towards dispositions, transactions eventually once we start having more deal flow. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
I love it. I mean, I think that's the big thing is splitting up, knowing your strengths,
Hmm.
because it's easy to get caught up in like working in the business. I mean, the goal is to work out of or on the business. I think they say not in the business, and understanding, because that's one thing I feel like with partnerships where it goes wrong, where you have two people doing the same thing or trying to dabble in the same thing, and they end up stepping on each other's toes. Sounds like you guys have a really good work kind of balance of like, all right, you guys do this, you do this, so you're not stepping on each other's toes. You guys collaborate a lot more, but is kind of the goal to keep it at like, what's kind of like your ultimate vision, like, of you guys out of the business. How do you guys kind of see, you guys want, like, sounds like you guys want to keep a lean team of about, like, is it maybe 10 people, or just be as efficient as possible? Is that kind of like the long-term vision?
Long-term vision would be probably about 10 people in one market. So we're here in Atlanta. So, obviously we want to kind of go to different markets, but the goal to go to different markets is we want to make sure we have a full team in place where the Atlanta market is somewhat automated, and that way we
Hmm.
can
Mhm.
jump into another market and duplicate what we did here in Atlanta.
Right.
And that way we know, okay, we know how many agents we need. We know how much data we need. We know how many acquisitions people we need to get X amount of dollars per month, as far as assignment fees and profits. So that's the kind of the vision, kind of, set up a team here where it starts automating itself. That way, myself and Michael, we're kind of managing and overseeing everything. And that way
Mhm.
we can kind of tap into another market with the same kind of structure, and then kind of scale that way. And then obviously, that gives us more time to jump into the multifamily and focus on our own personal, individual goals to create that freedom that we all look to get.
That's
I
Yeah,
great.
love it.
no, definitely. It's that's 100%. And because a lot of people, what they do is they use their Atlanta team to market to Texas or to market in North Carolina or to market to these other places. And it's like you're just overloading these people with North Carolina, Texas, Florida. So our vision more of is like, like the isn't working at the Burger King in Florida. So they got a whole separate team for the Burger King in Florida. You know what I mean? So we kind of have a vision of building that whole separate team for a different market. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like this market will just solely concentrate on Atlanta, getting things done in Atlanta. And then once we got that automated, we'll build a whole separate team for Florida that mainly concentrates on Florida. That's their market. That's what they're experts at. That's what they're, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And most likely they probably gonna live in case they need to go out to the property. Um,
Gotcha.
as far as building that team out though. So that's kind of our idea is when we expand and scale to other states and cities is
Mhm.
have that own team in that given area.
I love that. I love that,
Yeah.
how kind of, I think it works. People have things done a specific way. Like some people
Hmm.
split it up differently, but I like how you guys have a aligned vision of like, this is how we see it and this is how we
Hmm.
want to execute it. I think too often people who start off in wholesaling want to jump. They're not in the market long enough to kind of really see it through. Of
Yep.
like, okay, is this an
Yeah.
effective market? I think I was talking to Tim. We had an episode of like like virtual wholesaling,
Hmm.
and a lot of times it's like, well, how long is it to test it out? Like, definitely not a month. A month isn't enough time to get that data back and like really analyze and understand like if it's effective. You at least want to be in there 3 months to understand.
Yeah.
But people are such like, we live in a world of like instant gratification, and people want
Hmm.
things now. So they're too desperate to wait and be patient. So a lot of times, yeah, people just want to jump from market to market, and they're like, well, why aren't things working? Well, it's like, if you focus in on one market at a time, you'll start seeing results. But I think people just have that instant gratification of how things go. So I like how you guys kind of are
Yeah.
setting realistic expectations for like
Hmm.
how it's like, all right, this is how we'll do it our Atlanta team. And then we'll build out, we'll get ourselves out of certain positions so we can focus in on like the next market.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you don't want to mix things up because now you
Hmm.
might be tapping into your Atlanta budget and then realize that your Florida market isn't performing as your Atlanta budget is getting lower and lower when that should have been just for Atlanta. You know what I mean? And a whole separate budget for Florida.
Hmm.
Um, and that's kind of our goals when it comes to that. But yeah, we're slowly scaling up. Like I said, like he said, we just brought our first acquisitions associate. It's a new experience training him, and getting him to up to par with everything as far as wholesaling. But it's been very successful. I mean, things in place like onboarding. We have slideshows that we go through with them. A schedule, as far as what he's looking towards in his first week, day 1, day 2, day 3, we have that schedule set up, and we even had someone on Fiverr make it look all pretty and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
it's legitimate, you want to have everything legit. It's a company. When you went to work for Burger King, they put you on that computer for like just to learn how to flip a burger or something, or learn how to use a cashier. Just like that, you want to have systems in place when you bring somebody in, onboard them. It's straight to training. You got an agenda, not where it's kind of all over the place. Because
Right.
when it's like that, that employee is going to look at the company like, okay, these guys aren't fully established, and the performance just isn't going to be the same. So
Right.
you want to have that, systems and everything set up in place in the learning. We're actually going to Ohio to learn some more about systems and processes from some lady. So it's a learning process. You want to keep learning.
Definitely. I think you guys are doing everything kind of the right way, and your strategies are really on point to fit your company and where you direction of where your company is. And I know that like sometimes people shy away from partnerships because they're not ready, or they may have a certain they're working their 9 to 5, but they're also trying to get into this industry. But to realize that having a partner is actually someone that can help you during that process as well. They might be full time, but you might be part time or have a full time job. So it's just that communication and that trust as well to get you both to the direction that you want to go within your company.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, it
absolutely.
just
yeah,
gotta make sense. It just has to make sense at the end of the day. Like for us, it made sense. And I tell people all the time, like, don't go looking for a partner. Let the partner come to you by you working. You closing deals, you're gonna start meeting people who are closing deals. You don't want to partner with somebody who's not really doing shit. You know what I'm saying? You want to partner with people who are active, or who are doing things that can bring you value, and you guys have to bring each other value. So yeah, it just has to make sense at the end of the day. And for me and Mike, it made sense. I was working full time, like you said, Tim, and he was working kind of part time on his own and doing his thing. And I was like, hey, just go ahead and tap into my database and let's make something happen. Let's see what we can do. And it worked out. It worked out.
Yeah, and I think a great way for to really test out partnerships or how you work with people, because that's another thing too, is like stepping into entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
Collaboration is huge, right? And like how you collaborate with people. And we always talk about all the time, like JV with somebody to really learn the process. If you're struggling in the dispo end, you don't have to partner up with anybody necessarily, but JV, it's like a temporary partnership, right? You're partnering throughout this deal, so learn the ropes from people. If your strengths are dispo, find somebody who's good at acquisitions. Teaming up, I think, is really important to really understand like the process. So then moving forward, you kind of know what to look for. But I think people also to start off like try to do everything. I think Mike, you had mentioned that earlier, where you try to do everything at once, and it can be really overwhelming, the wholesaling process. Like people on Instagram make it look easy, right? Or people think like, oh yeah, I can do that. And then like get stuck because they're they've kind of reached a ceiling, so to speak. So don't be afraid to ask for help. That's one thing. I think people are also kind of the ego where people don't want to be vulnerable and ask for help. So that's a huge thing in like understanding how to collaborate and work closely with somebody. So don't just go jumping into a partnership right away. Uh, closely, like you guys, I think, like Tim said, you guys really did it the right way. And like, all right, let's feel this out. Let's work on some deals together, and then we can talk about partnerships. I think a lot of times people are like, well, yeah, you're cool. Like we're vibing. We had a drink or something. Like, yeah, let's partner up without even like getting into the weeds with this person. So
That's
I
how they
think
end
people
up in next.
right, exactly. Don't end up in X. That should be a hashtag or something. Um, but I love that. So you guys talked about your individual goals. What's something that I know you guys are thinking of getting into multifamilies? Is it the how are you guys kind of planning that out? Is that something that's coming in the work soon, or is it something eventually like after you go into a new market, then you'll kind of look into that?
Yeah, I mean, so we're actually like active as far as getting into it now. We're learning, like we talked about before the show, analyzing deals and learning terminology and learning processes. We actually kind of considered and thought about, I think for us to get a mentor or find someone to do to mentor us and kind of teach us a little bit about it from the inside, from the beginning to the end. That way, we can avoid that curve, and get there a
Right.
lot quicker. But yeah, the first thing is definitely, starting the education on it and learning how to apply and learning the whole process behind it. And then just like with wholesaling, we didn't know how to do wholesaling. We just learned it and started taking action. So similar thing, just learn it and start taking action is kind of where we at. And, we want to get into it at some point this year for sure.
Yeah, yeah, like he got it on point. So we've been kind of doing our research, learning more and more. We network with a lot of people too, so we know people that are in it. We've thought of possibly becoming a limited partnership on a deal, so we can kind of learn kind of the ins and outs of multifamily syndications. But as far as that goes, we just been kind of underwriting deals, trying to understand the numbers, and just trying to understand as well, like the lending part, like the loan part, all that stuff, because there's a lot to that as well. And yeah, I mean, we've really just been just like, obviously we have a lot of our time caught up with wholesaling, because we're still working in the business, but eventually, little by little, and eventually when we have more time, that's when we plan on actually deep diving into the multifamily world. And but I will say we have contacted some people, contacted some multifamily homes. I've gotten a few multifamily home owners on the phone before. It's the same thing as wholesaling, man. I got them on the phone, and you can just figure out information. Like, what we usually ask them is rent rolls, T12 or whatever. So yeah, so that's we're learning more and more as far as that goes. Obviously, we got a long way to go, but that's what, like he said, we've thought about, paying for like a mentorship so we can kind of skip that curve, or just joining in as a limited partner and kind of learning that way as well. But yeah, we definitely that's kind of our personal goal, but you can all team goal, because we both have that same vision in mind. It's like let's get into the multifamily world, and let's get our passive income that way. I mean, because that's just
A little bit easier when you have 100+ units than
yeah, you raise the rent like $200 or $100.
Right.
That's a lot of money right there. So yeah, it just makes sense too. It's value add. You can force appreciation a lot more than single. You know what I mean?
yeah, tax
And
benefits.
The tax benefits, yep.
Yeah, those are huge.
appreciation, you're raising the rents, and when you raise the rents, $200, just $100, like you said, on 100 units. I don't know what that is, but that's like what, like almost like 10,000. I think 10. I don't know, but You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm bad with math, but I know numbers. But
Hey, I feel you on that. That's a bar right there.
Yeah, exactly. And
but
on the multifamily, you don't even have to go off market. You can actually talk with brokers
yeah.
and build relationships with brokers so they can push you deals, and you just put it into your numbers, and if it makes sense, you can
Hmm.
just put out offers. And what I think we've learned, G, is that the more offers you make with a broker, the more deals he'll send you, even if those
Mhm.
um, offers don't go through. It just know they know you're serious about getting a property. So
Yeah. When you say offer, do you send them a letter of intent or an actual offer?
no, so we do a soft offer first. Like we analyze the deal, and then we say, hey, based on our numbers, and you didn't have the management fee in your OM, so we're going to come at this number. I don't know if that makes sense to your seller, but if it does, then I can put it in writing for you. So
Okay.
then I can do a letter of intent if they're really serious.
Okay.
Right.
Nice, nice. Yeah, definitely. We gotta tap in. We gotta chat some more, man. I wanna tap into your
Yeah.
brain, pick your brain a little bit. It sounds
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're
like
also looking into we're looking into different markets. I think Cali, Los
Hmm.
Angeles. I actually recent went last week or the week after to visit Tim for our previous
Hmm.
episode, and it's crazy. I didn't realize how many multi because I'm in Northern Cali, so I'm like near the Bay Area. So I didn't realize LA had so many multifamily properties. I was just like, whoa, multifamily after multifamily. You wouldn't think about
Hmm.
it of LA.
yeah,
So we're tapping into Southern Cali, Dallas or Texas area, and Atlanta too. So yeah, should definitely tap in and just kind of share, our knowledge and what we're learning and what you guys are learning. So I'd love to
yeah,
connect in that sense. But it
yeah,
really is the same. Like I
Hmm.
feel like you can once you get your wholesaling process down and systems, you can replicate that into another business. Like
Hmm.
I've seen that people who have really successful wholesaling businesses are able to like take those systems and plug it into because it's all the same thing. Like
yeah,
in one way or another, you have like an acquisitions and like a sales, and then you have a way to dispo or communicate with like buyers. So if you have your systems down, you can just plug that into multifamily and like of course there's more to that than like syndication funding, that sort of thing. But once you can get that basic knowledge of real estate, you can like that's really enough. You're already ahead of the curve, like you were talking
Hmm.
about. There's not much competition when it
yeah,
comes to multifamily.
yeah. No, definitely. And just like we're doing right now, networking is the best. I mean, you never know.
Absolutely.
One day we have enough wholesale millionaire wholesalers. We can take a building down ourselves and not necessarily
Exactly.
need to ask random investors or something. You know what I'm saying? Who's looking for a return or whatever the case is. But yeah, no, definitely, it's networking is important. I've never thought talking to people would make you so much money, but the more people you talk to, the more you network.
It's true.
You can make a lot of money. Just talking to people. That's
Yeah.
all it takes.
Exactly.
Is talking to people.
Now, do you guys go to like certain events or to network, or how do you guys, spread the word for you guys?
Yeah, you want to take that, Zach?
Yeah, we do. We try to go to as many as we can. We actually came from one on Saturday. Went to one Saturday. Good networking event. You connect with, and it's good because the type of people there. One, there's all real estate people for the most part,
Right.
and there's real estate people in different aspects of real estate. You got developers, you got builders, you got real estate agents, you got wholesalers, you got actual cash buyers. So it's just a whole bunch of different people in there that you can connect with. It has a lot. It's a range of knowledge that you can kind of get if you just open your mouth and kind of talk to people, introduce yourself, say, hey, this is
Yeah.
what I do, and whatnot. Funny thing is, this was like one of the first events that, I went to when people actually noticed who I was, probably because of my social media. You know what I mean?
Right.
I came in, wore my brand, like, oh yeah, yo, what's up, Ty? Da da da. So That's why, you know, like you were saying, G, like the branding is very important too, you know, so people, you don't necessarily have to come up to people. They start coming to you when they recognize you. You know what I mean? So that's like a little cheat code in networking.
Yeah, can't miss the green hat. Can't miss the green hat.
Right.
That's how special. That's how special.
Hey man, I may need to get me a hat. Send
I
me
got
the store
plenty.
link.
I got plenty.
Yeah, I'll definitely rep some Property Jet for
But
sure.
yeah, like he said too, man, networking, people don't realize how important it is going to these events. There's a buyer there that was at the event that we've made about like $30,000 off him already. But all these new wholesalers that were there that never got a deal done don't even know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't even know that there's somebody off right there that they can make $30,000 off if they just find them a good property. So a lot of these events are powerful. Like, if you got to talk to people. If you're going to an event and you're talking to the same person that you went to the event with, you're doing it all wrong. You got to be talking to people you've never talked to.
Right. It's putting yourself out there, making yourself uncomfortable. I think, I mean, unfortunately with COVID, that kind of put a danger on things, but like now that everything's for the most part is pretty open, you really don't have any excuse to like put yourself out there and just introduce yourself and add value. I always say that, like, it's not about you. It's about like the person you're talking to. How can I add value? If I want to get into multifamily, let me find somebody who's good at it and like, hey, let me underwrite your deal. I have, especially like once I can kind of understand the calculator, but I'm like, hey, let me underwrite this deal for you. And you let me know how it went. That's one way to add value where it's like, I'm not even considering what I need because eventually it'll come back. I'm a big advocate of like the Go Giver, that specific book. Because a lot of times people come in with like me, this is what I need. What can you do for me? Instead of, hey, what can I do for you? How like what do you need help with? In some way or form, it always comes back around where somebody will be like, hey, what do you need? Like, how, I appreciate you helping me out with this, but like, hey, I'm buying in this area, like whatever the case may be, putting yourself out there, not being shy. I think that's really what's holding people back. Is not introducing themselves, not speaking about what they do.
That's how we got MLS comps. The guy who gives us his MLS access, anytime he calls me, I'm here to answer any questions he has about wholesaling, even multifamily, because he's getting heavy into the multifamily. He had a question the other day. He was like, I'm trying to figure something out about taxes, and I know a little bit about, researching the county websites and looking at the taxes and all that stuff. So I was like, let me look at the county website. Let's look it up here. Let's see what they're charging, what percent they take for taxes. And we figured it out together. And just providing that little value right there, we've been using his MLS access for the last like 3-4 months. So, you give value, you get value back. Just like you said.
I love it. So we're coming up on the hour. It's crazy. I'm like, feel like we've just been talking for like 15 minutes.
I know, right?
But what do you guys want to leave the audience with today? Like whether it's like coming together for a business partnership or anything, it can be whatever it is. Think about that for a sec. And guys, don't forget to subscribe, hit those reminders. I believe in the description, we have how to reach Mike and Ty, have their websites down, but don't forget, follow us on Instagram, get_the_bag podcast. Really appreciate you guys tapping in with us today. But yeah, Ty, Mike, what do you guys want to leave the audience with today?
Yeah, I'll start off. So the main thing is, I know since the conversation is about partnership, and I'll repeat it, don't go looking for a partner. Do the work, let a partner come to you. When you put that energy out, people start noticing you working. That's how you get in these rooms with people who are actually working, and you can kind of have conversations about what's going on in your business or what's going on in your day-to-day, and you guys kind of exchange value that way and see if it makes sense. Do JVs and see how they communicate, how you guys communicate, how urgent they are when it comes to getting things done, how transparent they are when it comes to things like that. So that's one. And then the next thing, for those who are just starting out, haven't closed a deal yet or whatever the case may be, don't quit. Don't fucking quit. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as you quit, if you don't quit, you're guaranteed to see success. Bottom line.
Yeah.
So if
Facts.
you stay, whatever you do, no matter if it's real estate, whether it's you're owning your own business as a boutique owner, salon owner, whatever the case may be, you get punched in the mouth, get back up, find out a way how not to get punched in the mouth again, and move forward. As long as you keep moving forward, you'll see success, and that's a fact. I've seen it. Mike's seen it. You guys seen it. Anybody who's seen success, we've dealt with failure. But the one thing that we have in common is we haven't quit and we kept going.
Yeah, that's a gem.
It's a bar right there.
Yeah.
Love it.
No, definitely. Like like he said, fail forward. And you're only gonna go up from there. You can only make a mistake once. I mean, sometimes you can make it twice, but you can only make a mistake once. And if once you learn from it, you fail forward. But yeah, like he said, as far as partnerships go, since this is about partners, don't go looking for a partner, like he said. And two, don't be afraid to ask about becoming partners if you feel like you guys work good together. So don't be afraid. Ask the question. It may be a yes, it may be a no, but just make sure that before you ask that question, that you're actually taking into consideration, like, do I work well with this guy? Have we made money together? Is his ego too much? Where
Right.
I'm not going to be able to have my say or input in the company, and things like that. You know what I mean? And one thing, like, we've noticed is that we kept each other accountable. So, that just plays a big part. Just make sure before you get into a partnership that you're taking all them things into consideration. And don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to just, hey, like, what's up? You want to be partners, man? We're doing good. We're breaking bread. What's next?
Love it. Yeah,
Nice.
that's really good. It looks like we have a question here, so I'm gonna
Yep.
throw it out real quick. Monica, what's going on, Garo? How do you have healthy balance of both? I'm always working so hard on networking and branding, but that usually hits the back burner.
That's a good one. So like with anything that I do when it comes to networking and branding, and what I've noticed, like after I started like taking my Instagram a little bit more seriously, meaning documenting my journey, showing my wins, showing my losses, just going through that whole process, I started throwing my brand in there. And when it comes to networking, people will start remembering you off of that, and people start coming to you. So I have a lot of people on my Instagram. They'll send me opportunities of deals that they may come across, things like that. Some people, I've had lenders reach out to me. So based off of the work that I've been putting out, the energy that I've been putting out on my social media, along with my brand, at the same time, I'm creating like awareness. Like, okay, Property Jet, that's Ty. Anytime they see kind of green, they know it's me for the most part. So it's kind of been a balance there. It kind of like balances out because people start coming to you as well. But at the end of the day, you still kind of have to be intentional. A lot of it is about intent, and you have to be intentional about what you're trying to do. So if your intentions is to network, go to events, network with people. You see somebody on Instagram or social media, and you like what they're doing, or if they have something of value to you, reach out, connect, see if you can bring some value to them. And then when it comes to branding, whatever your brand is, always mention your brand. Put your brand out there, wear your brand, let people see your brand.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. That's kind of how I balance it.
I love it. You know what, Tim? I think we need purple hats. I think we need to get
Get
the
the
bag.
purple hats,
Get the
man.
purple hats.
Yeah.
There we go. Get purple hats.
Hey, Mike, anything you wanted to add to this?
Yeah. So it's a good question. It's difficult because I understand branding. It can be time consuming. Editing a reel, editing your Instagram post, and then Instagram crashes, and you're like, wow, I gotta do this all from start again.
I've been there.
So yeah, it's happened to all of us who are on Instagram a lot. And it can be time consuming. So I would say, just like wholesaling, just like everything, set systems, set schedules. That way you can get it done, and it doesn't feel like you're just so much stuff is having to be done. So for example, branding, keep that, make your videos on a Saturday or Sunday so you can post them throughout Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Even if you got to change your shirt on a Saturday just to make a new video, change your shirt.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But keep it on a schedule. Networking. when you're talking to people on the phone, that's networking. When you're calling sellers, that's networking. Sometimes I found other leads off sellers. When you're keeping up with your brand on Instagram, like Ty said, people will reach out to us. That's networking. You network when you can, and what I mean by that is you don't necessarily have to be like, all right, I'm setting myself to go out to this event. No, I've networked at closings with our attorney and found out other private lenders or other lenders just by talking, not just because I don't just go to the attorney's office and I'm like, all right, where's my money? Let me sign the papers. All right, bye guys. No, I'm like, hey, what's up? What do you guys do? Like, do you guys invest? Hey, like I start, trying to pick their brain, like see what they're interested in, what they do. And believe it or not, I think that's one of the best people to network with is your closing attorney. And especially if they're a good one, they can open doors to a lot of different people who will lend you money. But yeah, like network when you can, when you're out. Sometimes I was getting some empanadas the other day, and I was freaking networking with the guy there, and he ended up telling me about a burnt down house that some lady owns that's trying to sell it. I'm like, let me get the address. You know what I mean? So, just let people know what you do. When you're on the elevator, you should be talking to that person next to you. That's that's networking right there is, when you can. But yeah, that's how you fit those things into because it can be hard to juggle all that networking, branding on top of keeping up with your company. It can be a lot, but you just gotta make it work when you can,
I love that. Those were definitely bars there.
So true.
And definitely scheduling stuff out. That's helped me. And like I've slowly organically, that's been one of my goals is to grow my brand and like my presence on social media. And so usually for me, I still have a 9 to 5. So on the weekends or when I have like a good chunk of time, I'll time block, be like, all right, I'm gonna do some content here. Even editing these podcasts to split them up into clips. That shit is so time consuming and I hate it.
Yeah.
And so I've also learned too, okay, if it's something I really can't do, like I hate doing, I should probably delegate that to somebody. So if you can afford it and if it's in your budget, hire somebody to do stuff that you really don't want to do. So like, I'm considering hiring somebody for social media stuff too, or at least to just edit my clips so that I don't have to waste 2 hours going through, an hour episode just to, create clips for Instagram or whatever the case may be. So that's always another way too. If you get to the point where like, I can't stand doing this, like delegate that if you can. But that's definitely a bar. Relationships is huge. Tim, I know you've kind of attest to that as well. And like, who you've always mentioned, like talk about what you do, like no matter what it is, and if you're manifesting it, it's bound to come back to you. So I love that part.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you just don't know where your next deal is going to come from. And one of my deals, I found a buyer at one of my inspections because he was the general contractor and he actually bought properties too. So the next deal, I sent it to him and he actually closed on that deal. So you just don't know who you're going to run into or who you're going to talk to. Always, put yourself out there, put your business out there, talk about what you do, and like G said, bring value. How can I help you? Can I refer you business? Or I might not be the right client for you, but I might have people in my network that I can refer to. So it's
Right.
having that conversation.
Love it. Well, you guys, it's been real. I appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day. I know you guys have a closing. Good luck on the title search,
Yeah,
but
good
really
luck.
appreciate you guys tapping in with us. Anything, if you guys ever need anything, we'll definitely have to
Yeah, we
connect on the
got you.
multifamily tip, but really
For sure.
appreciate you guys.
Yeah, appreciate you having us on here.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for having us.
Cool. Well, guys, thank you guys so much for joining us. Don't forget to tap in every Wednesdays, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Next Wednesday, we have another guest as well. So we're just on a roll. Really excited for you guys. But have a great day and catch you guys later.
All right.
We out.